When a 2,000-pound bull faces a cowboy who barely stands 5'5", most riders don't last a blink. But Chris Shivers held on and turned that brutal late-second ride into a multi-million-dollar empire before anyone else even dreamed it was possible. And he didn't just win trophies. He built a multi-million-dollar empire inside one of the most dangerous sports on earth. Nobody had ever seen money like that in the PBR. He shattered the sport's financial ceiling, becoming the first millionaire in bull riding, then smashed through 2 million and eventually 3. So now, the question is, how did this quiet cowboy from Mississippi rise to become the undisputed king of prize money? And what kind of toughness does it take to not only conquer the rankest bulls on earth, but also change the game for every rider who came after him? Every great career is built on a solid foundation, and for Chris Shivers, that foundation was laid in the heart of Natchez, Mississippi. Born on December 30th, 1978, Chris was never known for loud talk or boasting. He's the kind of man who lets his actions in the arena speak for him. And from a very young age, those actions were making way for him. By the time he reached high school, it was clear that he had a rare talent. In 1996, he proved it by winning the Louisiana State High School Bull Riding Championship. That same year, he qualified for the National High School Rodeo Finals, showing he could match up with the best young riders in the country. He was learning fast, building the balance, timing, and courage needed. Chris Shivers said, "It's the greatest feeling in the world. You're riding on something 4 times your size, and you're in control." And he meant what he said. In 1997, at only 18 years old, Chris Shivers took the next step. He turned pro and entered the biggest stage in bull riding, the professional bull rider circuit. In his very first season, he qualified for the PBR World Finals. Then came 1998, the year that changed everything. It was the year that Chris Shivers went from being a promising young rider to becoming a force in bull riding. In 1998 alone, Chris Shivers earned 13 90-point rides in a single season, setting a PBR record at the time. 13 times in 1 year, he reached a level of performance most cowboys only dream of. He wasn't just good, he was making history, and those rides brought wins. That year, he won the PBR Touring Pro event in Marshall, Texas, then followed it up with another win in Springdale, Arkansas. He added victories in the Justin Bull Riding in Houston and the Touring Pro event in Lafayette, Louisiana. He even went into Canada and won the PBR Hell on Hoofs 3 in Vancouver, British Columbia. This incredible run of victories and high scores led to the first major payoff of his career, a moment that sent shockwaves through the sport. In 1998, Chris Shivers became the first bull rider in PBR history to win more than $300,000 in prize money in a single season. Before him, that kind of money was unheard of. He didn't just raise the bar, he created a whole new bar. If 1998 had been his big announcement, 2000 was his coronation as the undisputed king of bull riding. He was unstoppable, tearing through the BBR's premier tour, which was then called the Bud Light Cup Series. He started the year strong by winning the PBR Portland Open. Then, from February to March, he did something that still has fans and historians shaking their heads. He won 3 Bud Light Cup events in a row. First, the Tampa Open in Florida, then the St. Louis Open in Missouri, and finally the Cleveland Open in Ohio. That hot streak was a small part of his victory that year. His wins kept piling up. He went to Canada and won the PBR Canadian Open in Calgary, Alberta, proving his talent crossed borders. He was crowned champion of the U.S. Smokeless Tobacco Company Tour and Pro Division, showing his dominance across every level of the PBR. To crown it all, he was named the PBR 90-point club champion, which came as no surprise given his ability to deliver massive scores. After a season of unmatched excellence, Chris Shivers was crowned the 2000 PBR World Champion. At just 21 years old, he wore the gold buckle proud, standing as the #1 cowboy. Having secured his first world title in 2000, he pushed even harder. In 2001, Chris made history once again, and this time the achievement reached far beyond the rodeo arena. He became the very first PBR bull rider to cross $1 million in career earnings. $1 million just from riding bulls in the early 2000s. It was a groundbreaking moment that changed how people saw professional cowboys. Chris didn't only win, he opened the door for the multi-million-dollar contracts and major sponsorships that are common in bull riding today. He proved that a cowboy's grit could stand alongside the financial rewards of mainstream sports. But for Chris Shivers, money was never the main goal. The arena was where his heart was, and in 2001 at the PBR World Finals in Las Vegas, he gave fans one of the greatest moments in bull riding history. His draw matched him against a legendary bull named Dillinger. Dillinger was not just any bull. He was a 2-time PBR World Champion bull known for his explosive power and fierce bucking style. For 8 unforgettable seconds, Shivers and Dillinger battled in a perfect mix of chaos and control. Every jump, every spin, every kick from Dillinger was matched by Shivers with flawless timing and balance. He stayed perfectly centered, making one of the hardest rides in sports look almost effortless. When the whistle blew, the Thomas and Mack Center went wild with cheers. years. The judges awarded the ride 96.5 points, tying the highest marked ride in PBR history at the time. That performance earned Shivers the Lane Frost Brent Thurman Award for the highest scoring ride at the World Finals. Want to see how Shivers kept dominating? Smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. That energy carried him forward into another winning season. By 2003, Chris Shivers was no longer just a cowboy. He was one of the greatest champions of bull riding. But he wanted more. He wanted to join the most exclusive club in the sport, the multi-time world champions. Entering the 2003 season, he rode with one goal in mind, and the results proved it. He won events across the country, from the Mohegan Sun Invitational in Connecticut to the Jerome Davis Challenge in North Carolina to the Tampa Open in Florida. When the season ended at the World Finals in Las Vegas, he achieved his mission. Chris Shivers became the 2003 PBR World Champion, making him only the second rider in PBR history after Adriano Moraes to win more than one world title. And then came another milestone, one that forever changed the financial side of bull riding. With his second world title, Shivers earned the very first $1 million bonus ever awarded to a PBR World Champion. In one night, he took home more money than many riders would see in a lifetime. That moment set a new standard for the sport, placing bull riding alongside other major professional sports in terms of prize money. That same year, he also became the first rider to pass $2 million in career earnings. That kind of dominance is almost impossible to maintain. But Chris Shivers was built from something different. Year after year, he stayed near the top. Chris Shivers kept qualifying for PBR World Finals. In 2005, he claimed 4 Premier Series events. In 2006, he won 3 more. That same year, he broke another barrier by becoming the first rider in PBR history to earn $3 million. His reign as the financial king of the sport continued. For most of his career, Shivers was the perfect picture of the classic cowboy. He rode with a cowboy hat, carrying the old school grit and style that defined him. But bull riding is an unpredictable sport and eventually forces change. In 2009, at the season opener in Baltimore, he suffered a fractured nose in a chute accident. It wasn't his first serious injury. He had already endured multiple head and facial injuries. The injury pushed him to make a choice. From that moment forward, Shivers traded the cowboy hat for a helmet with a protective face mask. Some traditionalists saw it as a departure from the cowboy way, but in truth, it was a smart decision. Shivers had all the toughness of an old school cowboy, but he also had the awareness to protect himself and extend his career. That change from hat to helmet became a perfect symbol of who he was. Chris Shivers was the bridge between the old school and the new school of bull riding. But all great careers eventually reached their end. In 2012, after 16 remarkable years at the top, Chris Shivers announced his retirement. He has competed in 15 PBR World Finals, a record that speaks volumes about his consistency and longevity in a sport that often ends careers too soon. He walked away with nearly $3.3 million in earnings, a number no one could have imagined when he first turned pro. The next year, 2013, he was inducted into the PBR Ring of Honor. He joined the greatest names in bull riding, forever remembered for the mark he left on the sport. Then came one more chapter. 3 years after his retirement, Shivers returned for a special event called Unfinished Business in Decatur, Texas. It brought PBR legends back for one last ride. Shivers accepted the challenge. He drew a bull named Black Cat, and the arena was buzzing with questions like, could the retired champion still deliver? Guess what happened? Shivers scored 88.5 points, splitting the win with fellow legend J.W. Hart. They were the only 2 men that night to last the full 8 seconds. His legacy only grew stronger. In 2017, he was inducted into the Bull Riding Hall of Fame. In 2023, when the PBR celebrated its 30th anniversary by ranking the top 30 riders of all time, Shivers was ranked 6th. Today, he lives in Jonesville, Louisiana with their 3 children and his wife Kylie, one of the great women in professional bull riding who received the PBR Sharon Shoulders Award in 2019. Chris Shivers is arguably among the greatest riders in the 20-year history of the PBR, a 2-time world champion and a pioneer who reshaped the sport. Chris Shivers didn't just ride bulls. He redefined what it meant to be a cowboy in the modern era, from the jaw-dropping 90-point rides to his fearless choice to ride with a helmet. Even in retirement, his legacy rides on. Today, his name stands right alongside the all-time greats of rodeo history. And while the bulls may have changed and the sport keeps evolving, the mark Chris Shivers left will never fade. So, what do you think? What is Chris Shivers' most impressive achievement? Was it the 2 world titles, the record-breaking number of 90-point rides, or being the first man to break the $1, $2, and $3 million barriers? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to ring that notification bell so you don't miss the next video.